We're gonna get into a Zen VOD review in just a second. For anyone who wants coaching, by the way, I do coaching for 2 gifted subs, or there's a redeem for channel points as well. So it's like you're either supporting the community financially or just by like being around a good bit. Okay, so this is from Uber Goose. We've got a King's Throne, got a Rialto. Gold 1, both Zen all game. Feel like I know basic principles like using cover and off angles, but in the game I feel like that disappears and my instinct is not good. Okay. So we could look at just like basic cover usage and like angles and such. Angles can be kind of difficult sometimes because like obviously you still want to be able to see stuff, and sometimes it might be scary to take certain angles because other people are there, like the enemies. That comes down to like timing for the most part. But either way, typically it's either distance away from like the main, say like over here. Like you won't want to be like directly just hinging off of this, you know, like even if you're playing main. So you want to play either far away or you want to take some kind of angle. That's basically just, here, let me get Epic Pen ready because I'm going to need it. So if you have your entire team just like all clumped up right here and red team is like over here, say like they're pushing cart or whatever. Maybe you have your tank over here or something trying to contest it. But like the problem is like all red team is doing besides like dealing with this tank is they're all just shooting here. So like you have 4 people shooting down this line. Anybody peeking here is taking essentially 5 people's amount of damage. Whoever's just not shooting this tank basically. So this is a very scary place to be. So like that's why it's nice to be up here, because it's like now they have to aim up a little bit, or like over here now they have to aim to the side. Like anything that's not this same exact corner that your team is peeking, that's one of the reasons why off angles are really good. Not to mention like you could just see more. Like this can't really see that deep into here, but this could see just a little bit deeper. So like that person who's like trying to take cover, maybe you get the kill on them. That sort of deal. If you're here, one of the things that I like to ask people in VOD reviews is like what do they think that they should be doing in their team comp versus enemy team comp. Usually just get like an idea of like, okay, what level of like macro do they understand? What are their goals in the game? Something I would kind of go off of myself is like, I see that we have Mercy Zen. We do have a Roadhog. The Roadhogs typically take a lot more damage, so I might be orbing him a bit more frequently. But for the most part, I'm probably orbing my Sojourn, maybe my Torb sometimes. He's decently tanky, so he might not need as much. And then kind of looking out for my Mercy sometimes. But it's probably going on Soj and or the Hog like 90% of the time. Ideally the Soj. Hopefully Hog can just take care of himself. And then like for the enemy team, I'm looking out for Ball. This is very much like a skill matchup. Zen does very good damage on Ball. You just have to be aware of him. If he gets a jump on you, it's bad news. You could also play indoors, because that means he can't slam. He can't like boop you super far. He can still roll through potentially, but even that's a lot more difficult. So all he really has is shooting his guns. So like if you're playing like on this doorway down here, he has to like roll in, and you could see that coming in, and you could just like back up when that happens. So he doesn't slam you, and you still have good sightlines. Being up top here is also pretty good, because you could dip back into here. If he tries to walk up there or whatever, you could like drop and go inside, that sort of thing. But you don't want to be playing in the open space. Like on this corner, that'd be bad news. He could roll through you, he could slam you, that sort of deal. Beyond that, you're probably shooting Ball a lot. You're probably shooting Bastion a lot because he's pretty chunky. And then also thinking about ultimates. Yara, like trancing her is like decently important. You can use trance on either of these just to save yourself if it's on you. So it's like kind of a... It's something that like you don't really have to think too much about. It's not like I'm holding trance for the Bastion ultimate. I'm holding trance for the Ball. Yeah, like it doesn't really happen. It's just kind of like if it just happens to line up, you know. But yeah. Anyway, let's get into the gameplay.
4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A. Enemy spotted.
Not bad so far. The Roadhog just kind of stood in the Bastion, unfortunately. This is pretty good, honestly. I think this is a small thing. I think sometimes, like during your reloads, especially since it's like just kind of downtime, if you have the sense that like maybe this other area is safe, you can maybe go for it. It's a bit scary for Zen because like she's jumping up here now, so I won't recommend it in this moment, obviously. But they don't have too many speedy heroes. The Sojourn's a bit speedy, so or not. Sierra's a little bit speedy, so she can jump here sometimes. And the ball might show up, though he's probably thinking more so about all this going on back here, you know? So you're a bit more free to take this most of the time. And if you do get that early damage on, like, say you do start shooting here, most of the damage that you get on here might prevent them. Say if you got her down to half HP before she even jumps here, there's a chance that you just kill her as she goes for this, you know? Not to mention, you could see that they might be looking for this rotation. Like, you'll see them look at you, basically. So you get a little bit more of a warning time that this space gets to be a bit more dangerous. So it's not super scary. Though, it is a nice angle to take, basically. Get a little bit more damage. And as much as you can, like, keeping them on their toes. Like, if they realize, oh, there's a Zenyatta here, they just start taking cover away from the Zenyatta eventually. At least in the higher ranks, they will. So, like, it becomes more and more important to, like, find slightly different angles, keep them moving as much as you can. Also keeps you a little bit more survivable, because if they are playing dive, then they can't just be like, yo, the Zen's always, like, right here. Here's EX. Jump on it from here, here, and here. Like, 3, 2, 1, basically. Like, if you're always moving, it helps. But yeah, this is a small thing. Though you kill her anyway, so it's totally fine. It's also like, kill me. I could simplify that a little bit more. It's also this is like a really important thing in Overwatch. If you take their team and draw circles around like the space that they're kind of controlling, you've got like this kind of chunk of space here, and the ball is just kind of here on its own, you know. And then your team's kind of like sort of like this, you know, so something along those lines, just like where you're standing, literally that. You can probably just ignore the ball for the most part, but like this is all right. You basically have like your defined front line here. This is like the neutral zone. But as much as you can, in most comps, unless you're playing in like professional leagues where like surrounding the enemy team isn't as necessary as like just focusing on a spike of value and like timing that all at the same time, that becomes more important like when you're in literal pro level. But for now, the best thing that you could do for the most part, A, not die, and B, like surround the enemy team. And you can do that by standing right here instead, which shifts this a little bit more like that. It's not a whole lot, but you kind of see how, like, now we're getting a little bit closer to surrounding them. If you're something like a Sojourn, maybe, and you didn't have to blow your cooldowns to do that, if you stood over here, then it's a little bit more like this. And you can see how, like, people attacking from all these, like, different angles, potentially, would be, like, a lot more scary, because, like, where do they hide? So if you're able to like know where your team is standing and try to surround the enemy team to the safest of your abilities, or to the most of your abilities, like while still staying safe, that's like the best thing you can do. I saw this. For now, though, like you're playing pretty decent. Not sure why we jumped down there. That's all right. At this point, I'd be looking to rotate back up there. You kind of there's like lulls in the fight. Like you're technically still shooting. Like around here. Like the enemy's still around, they could be on your screen, but you can kind of take a guess at like, hey, if you use cooldowns, ball's like 1 HP. They're probably gonna stay here for a while. Unless my team just decides I'm gonna walk into the spawn and eat 1,000 damage. You could kind of just decide to walk back up here real quick. Your team will be fine. It's very difficult for them to decide to do something like that. And even if like say this Roadhog decides to like just come in like all the way over here and eat 1,000 damage, you're probably not helping him anyway. Also check out the bendy arms then. I don't know if people realize how bendy his arms get, but it's kind of funny. But yeah, so I'd be looking to reset up there. Because unfortunately now you're kind of just stuck down here, and you're kind of not on that off angle. Like being back here is kind of nice, so like you do have that distance at least. But you see how like 4 of you, almost 5, are like just standing in this line. It's the same thing I mentioned earlier about how the enemy team, they just have to shoot in this one direction, and they're gonna hit something. They're gonna hit a lot of things, and you're probably one of them. Like if the Bastion shoots a right click, he doesn't have to aim up or down like too much. It's gonna hit somebody basically. Sierra's nade. That is a good shot though. I will say that was a good pick. Yeah, now we're going up here, so that's good. Yeah, like I said, you could just stay there. It's kind of like another way to think about this is you could like think of it in steps, like stages of your defense. Like as they're like walking in here, you're totally safe to be here. Potentially if you have float, like the movement. Once this starts to become dangerous, say if the enemy team starts rotating up through here, and you see that early, like you see the tracer blink this way, then I would start to rotate back over here. Maybe I would decide to go over here depending on the situation. If it's a tracer, if it's like a sojourn or something like that, I'm probably fine to stand here and then just kind of hinge off this doorway. But you could start off here potentially if you're able to get there and like move fine, and then you move back here until this isn't safe, and then you move back here until this isn't safe, basically. And then in my case, usually I drop down and then rotate back up here for like the retake, but that's like an extra step basically. But you see how it's like there's kind of stages to this. As this one gets too dangerous to be here anymore, or I might get cut off, like stuck here. Say nobody is rotating through here, but say I start to see that my team's falling back, and they're all over here now. It's like now, if this happens and then entire enemy team is over here, this is maybe too dangerous to like rotate through here now. If they're potentially looking at me. If they don't know I'm there, then maybe I can make this rotation. But you don't want to get into a situation where you're kind of stuck back here, you know? Especially if they're like a dangerous comp to you, like dive or whatever. But you want to catch these moments where it's like, okay, I shouldn't be here anymore. This is my time to rotate before it's too late. Now I shouldn't be here anymore. This is my time to rotate. And as soon as this spot becomes safe again, then you go back. As the enemy team starts to back up because they're winning the fight, because you know you have these good positions, you take the next good one, and then you take the next good one, and you're constantly like pushing forward and back off of these areas rather than pushing forward and back off of here, which is what a lot of people do. I'll probably try to lax up on that point a little bit, because I'd hope that like those visualizations help. So I'll probably point out extra positions if we lose that point, this point, assumedly. Should probably look at how long have we been going on for. Started at like probably Around 350. Okay. Just want to make sure that like I don't go too long with time. I try to aim for like around an hour. Francis. I respect holding the trance. Because, like, it looked like they were in cover underneath there, so, like, they're probably fine. They only lost their Mercy, so... And you still have trance, so that's good. This is around when I would start pushing forward to that further spot ahead. You could also go for those more aggressive positions a bit more safely when you have trance. That's what it enables. It lets you take those positions with a bit more risk to them. Because there isn't risk. You just trance and leave. Or you just trance and like stay there, potentially. That's usually in a case if somebody else is with you, like up on this left side. If it's like me and a Sojourn or something like that. We could both stand there. And as soon as we start getting aggressed on to the point where it's like, oh, we might die if we say, then I just pop trance and we just kind of hang out because like nothing's killing her. She's in trance. Nothing's killing me. I am the trance. So it's like they either back off or they die. And when they back off, now it's safe again. So that's another thing to work in. On the left, yep. Nice kick, nice kick. Oh, purple. This will help with the positioning, but it's a little bit of a tech. I like to call it like a light bulb trance. You could just kind of like jump off and stay like at this level, and when you trance, since it's a sphere around you, you'll still be able to heal people around. So like you could trance flow around here, like around your Roadhog for a second or two, and then come back whenever he gets to like full HP. Maybe you go back and do it again if they still need it. It's not always like the right play to come back because maybe your team's getting so much damage that you can't go back and they'll survive. But at least in this instance, it looks like they might have been able to. Like, wait for the purple. It would all... I guess this one's like a little iffy because of purple. But like, if he hadn't been purple, then you could like retain your high ground. Or if you had the foresight to see, that guy's purple, I need to wait, and then trance float there for like a second, come back. Something to think about. Could also, instead of holding... Just 1 second. Instead of ending your trance here, there's a chance that you could end it right over here. You're a little split from your team, but like being split is fine so long as they can't aggress on you. Like it's kind of dangerous for them to be in between here, so you'd be like relatively safe for the most part. If you see like somebody over here walking, or if you hear them, then you just start to back up and then you can dip out this way. Or alternatively, you could be set up to start going this way in a sneaky way, and then you got all this damage to deal, at least for a little bit. Again, doesn't always happen that way, but there are a lot of times where you could be a bit more aggressive that way. Still on the ball. Ogre God. One thing I will say too, this is something a lot of players don't do. I need to stop using this because I forget about it. Over here, it feels like you walk in because you're worried about, like, my team's dead, my Mercy's in. Maybe you're thinking about the Mercy. I'm guessing it's mostly about that they're capping point and it's overtime. I don't know how much you pay attention to this, but a lot of people like neglect that they still have this entire ring to fill up. So like we're chilling. We could just wait for a little bit. Like, who do we have coming back? We've got our Torb about to be in. We could have our Sojourn heal a little bit. That sort of thing. Sure, our Mercy's dead, but like, you walking in isn't gonna help her at all here. You could relatively, or you could realistically stay here for like another 10 seconds potentially, and still like be dealing damage, still like poking them, trying to give them any reason to not stand on point. But either way, like you have a chance to like get a better contest here if you stay alive. So you don't have to rush it. You don't have to be on point right there and then. Plus your Torb walks on. He's a lot chunkier than you, so. As much as you can, you want to be the last person to ever touch the point. It's hard for me to think of a time where I do want my Zen on the point. Like if that happens, then like something very wrong needs to happen first. Like we're about to C9 the point in overtime, and literally nobody else decides to touch the point, so I have to go. But that's like everyone else being silly. Like anybody else should be on the point besides you. Hi, Nimble. Doing the VOD review right now for Uber Goose. Good damage. Really good damage. What is that? I think you know exactly what that emote is. Nice. And people say that ball counters Zen. Meanwhile, you're just loading them up with all the orbs. Let's peek that. Yeah, exactly. That trance is a little iffy. Like, I'm not sure what exactly you're trancing here. I'm assuming you hear, was it the nano? I'm guessing you hear that, but like, I don't think you know what the damage is. Maybe the Bastion, I suppose? I don't know. There's no like. I don't think you knew exactly what was being done over here to like trance. I think having more like visual information on like this thing is going to kill my teammate unless I trance right now, and like I see that that's gonna happen, is like a bit more required there. If anything, your Hazard probably needed the trance more than your Mercy. There was a Bastion like shooting her with rockets, but she was fine. She was still full HP. She had her way a way to get out if she needed to. Your Harmony Orb was like enough healing. Not to mention, trance stops you from shooting, which means that Bastion got to live because you're trancing. You might have been able to get a lot more damage on him, basically, is what I'm getting at. So the nano plus the Bastion being right there, like, I get it, I get it. Such a good counter to dive. Yeah. It depends on, like, I think Zen's biggest counter is, like, maps, really. Certain maps. Well, certain comps and certain maps. It's fine, you're just respawning still. I like that you're taking this position. This is really good. Good damage, good damage. This small bow, were you out of ammo there? You were. One thing, remember how I mentioned earlier on first point when I first started mentioning that you could like push up during reload, part of the reason about the during the reload thing is that like they're kind of synonymous. They're like paired together. If you're reloading, that's a chance for you to move to a new position. If you're deciding to move to a new position, you should probably reload. Just because like there is a chance you're definitely going to need that ammo, whether it's like you just run into somebody there at the same time, or someone's going to jump you after you get a few shots in, or right what happens here, you get some good damage in, but now you're out of ammo. But the thing is, like, you have this surprise factor that they don't know you're going into this spot, that you definitely need that ammo. So whenever you're starting to push up to like a new spot, like take that time, like use something with that do something with that downtime, and this happens a lot less. That said, you still have the better position, and it looks like it's working out. There we go, this is a little bit better. That spot can be really hard to poke out. Sometimes, again, small thing. I'm just gonna show you like some like positional like micro things, but you can jump onto the like these barrels and like kind of float over here to speak a little bit deeper. It's not super consistent, but like if you throw a right click, sometimes you get a kill. Interesting minds. I'm guessing you wanted to get back on the high ground with that like spin, but yeah, this is better. You can go there. Like right where your Torb's standing, you can push her. You can push a little bit further ahead. So I think the biggest thing is like, especially like if your tank is ahead of you, you're absolutely safe to be like right here. Like there's no reason he can't be right here. Or at least like back here, minimum. This could be a little bit scary, maybe if they sorry. Maybe if they have like a hyper dive comp, like a Tracer, Winston, Genji or something like that. Winston could like jump you, bubble, and then like everything else is in on you, but like but they don't, frankly. So like you could be here. But general rule of thumb is like if you're still behind your tank, at least mildly, like that's a safe spot to push up to. And then you just like slowly back up. There's plenty of cover on that left side, plenty of extra spots to shoot at in between. I think this is fine for now. He's in trance, unfortunately he was purple. What rank is this? Gold. Gold 1. Ooh, Moira. Guess it's just a touch last second. I don't know if you want any coaching on Moira. Not bad though, honestly. Nice. Yeah, so I think common themes I'm seeing so far is mostly just like not pushing as forward as you could be doing. That's like the biggest thing I'm noticing right now. And there's some tendency to like leave positions or not rotate back into them as early as I'd like. Such as like, there was one point where I mentioned like you drop down from where this Ana is. And I was like, I'm not sure exactly why you dropped down. I think it was to maybe chase some damage. But you have to trust that your team is going to be shooting the same thing that you want to be dead. From their positions that they're standing in already. It's so much more important for a slow character like Zen to just stay on these hard to get spots. And then like the trance, maybe potentially could have like held up there, who knows. But like mostly that first one, and then like rotating back up to this high ground when you're like down here took a little while. This is probably like secondary though, to just pushing up when you can. This ain't bad. They've changed their comp a little bit. I guess we can get into this. This is a little bit more of a brawl comp. Like, Mei wants to be up close, Ramatra wants to be up close. Those are like the two things that are gonna get you screwed if you guys just try to walk in main, or if your team just tries to walk directly at them, basically. Because Mei's just gonna wall your team off, basically. Ramatra can just like shield people off. And if you get too close to him, he starts punching you. So you want to keep your distance away from them. And also, once again, angles really matter. Not only just for yourself, like to not get walled off by the Mei or whatever, but for instance, if you're up here and like your hog walks in and Mei walls this off, your supports can't help. You can still help from this angle, that sort of thing. And this very much is like a rotation I'm almost always looking to make. I tend to poke here for a little bit just to see like what do they got, what's going on. Are we just gonna run them over immediately for whatever reason and get like a lucky pick or two? But after like, I don't know, maybe 15-20 seconds or something like that of just like kind of seeing what's going on, vibe checking them, then I go up here and see what's going on here. Maybe shoot from here as well. But the intention is to either float like through here or just even take the long rotate here as soon as they see the opportunity. Because once again, they're not playing very fast characters. That's probably the biggest thing about their team right now. The most mobile person is Sierra. Maybe the Lifeweaver, but like these two aren't jumping you. They're definitely not jumping you. So like if you walked over here right now, you're probably fine. Because if they do want to walk at you, they have this guy shooting them in the back, looking for a hook. Damage boosted potentially from the Mercy. I guess you have someone in spawn, but assuming that's not the case. But the vibe check works. They kind of just die, so that's fine. I would say your defense is pretty good though, for like a gold player. As far as the position that you were taking, like I don't see people even in diamond holding up there as often. Same thing, I think. A little retrospective while I was like talking about your positioning, but like over at this point, like this is probably around when I'm sensing there's a lull in this fight. I might recognize there's somebody over here, but even with that circumstance, I want to get up here, bro. And you're kind of in the right spot to do it. Like if the fight's still happening, I'll hinge off of here because it's still an angle. It's still off of this statue, like this whole deal that we got going on, this line. And while being up here, if I did rotate, is decent, it's not surrounding them, you know? So being able to get up here gives you that opportunity to continue pushing up, maybe even get like an orb over here or whatever. But yeah, this is like the lull that you're looking for when there's not much going on. Like around now, can you imagine being up here? Like that's sick. Like they're not doing anything about you. You got this cover. It also gives your Mercy someone to fly to if she gets in danger. That's another thing that Mercies will appreciate as well. But like the damage up here would be insane, and you're probably a lot safer up here too, because now they have to worry about that Widow shooting them. They have to worry about the Hog trying to hook them. Not only the Sojin like beneath you, but also the Zenyatta that's above too. As well as if your distance management wasn't as good, there's a chance that Mei ult gets you as well. Like if she wanted to throw it at you, she could have. If you're on that high ground. It's often the same positions you're doing in reverse when you're like talking about like defense versus attack or vice versa. You're just pushing into the same positions rather than backing out from them. Yeah, kind of just standing and choke. I think might have been fine. You were kind of low, your hog was kind of hit, but I think he would have survived. This is another thing about those positions. You see how your Soj is up here? Like, she gets Mercy Beamed, but, or, this is Sojourn. This is a weird looking Sojourn. But, but like, these positions will get contested, so like, especially if you're over here to help your DPS out, like, it's usually referred to as plus one-ing, because, you know, your DPS is one person. But, plus one, with your low Zen guy. I don't know how it draws in. These are his dots. These are supposed to be his eye slits, but but I digress. But over here, like versus this this Mei, like that's easy work. And she probably counters both of you in this range, but just the fact that it's a 2v1, like she loses that. You could often think of most positions as like a numbers difference. Like, if it's a one, I'm honestly surprised this Mei's losing this, not gonna lie. It must have been the Mercy helping. That's a plus one, I suppose. But in almost every single situation, this Mercy, this Mei should win this fight because she counters Widow at this range. But if there's a second person, then it flips the other way around. So like counters do matter when it's like just these duels, but numbers trump that in almost every single circumstance. You could consider tanks as like two people in that situation. Like if it's you and this Widow versus a Winston or like the Ramatra or something like that, then it's probably like a stalemate. Maybe the Winston or Ramatra are like winning that, unless you like play it well, basically. But everything else, like you could just think of like, is this position safe? Because there's either A, nobody there, or there's I have a friend there, and it's only one other enemy, basically. And that you'll find that if you stack with like your DPS taking an angle, well, not stack, but like sometimes your DPS will be taking an angle that you also want, so it's on you to also be there if you can, both to help them out, and also they're helping you out by already standing there, already clearing it, that sort of thing. This isn't Crazy Guitar Man, it's mildly sane Guitar Man. Only mildly. Only mildly. You didn't see me like half an hour ago, or like an hour ago, Sluggy, when we were doing... Oh, nice shot. CDM kind of drove us insane. Oh, also, now that you have the flow perk, a little bit of tech, but you could float up to... on top of this sign, go up to this like little nub, and then from there you could jump onto the statue, and then from there you could float there, you could float there, you could float up here, anywhere. So like that makes rotating from statue a lot easier once you have float. Not to mention if you just go like back over here behind us, I can clear it out. Not to mention if you're just like on here, obviously that rotation is a little bit faster too. But yeah. Uh-oh. You live? You live! Nice. I'm gonna start speedrunning this a little bit more. I think we get the picture. Good trance. Just happened to be around the Mei ult. Still works out though. Your Mercy's on, so you stay off. That's good. Your Mercy's off, so you get on. This is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, ideally, you're not the one on point. I'd probably... okay, I guess, like, because of the ult situation, like, I want these people building their ults and using them. But, like, in most other situations, I probably want, like, my Soj or my Reaper on point. Just because they're, like, one, they're sturdier, and two, they have the mobility to, like, get into the fight if they need to. And everyone else can, like, just back up a lot easier. This is fine, I think. Let me look back at that.
That feels much better.
No, I think this is fine. I think, like, maybe backing up to here as soon as you can, or even, like, trying to get up in here at some point is good. So it's a little risky, it's a little tight, so, like, I understand. I don't think that changes this fight, anyway.
The cycle begins anew.
Ooh. You know what? You died, but I think that's fine. I think the intent there was good. If her mechanics were a little bit more on point, then you probably kill that Mei before she ults there. And honestly, you guys are still waiting to fight. Not a bad ult. Let me... Whoa. What their health look like? So, one thing I'll look for, especially with certain things like Ramatra ult, since... Yeah, he's punching people, that's like more bursty, but the bulk of his ult damage, it's like, it like slowly ticks people's health down. So I'll probably look for someone to be like half HP before I trance them, you know? So like here, you might have been able to wait for like an extra second, and then he gets pulled away. And he might have been able to save trance there. That's like very much a small micro like improvement thing. It's also the thing that will like make it to where it's like, oh, I tranced a little bit too late, but you ideally are writing that line of like trancing just before it's too late, you know? Because again, you don't do damage when you're in trance, so you might just kill the guy, or something else might happen, like he gets gripped out of the situation before like your team dies. That sort of thing. Definitely is like more of a backseat thing to the positional stuff, though. And it'll get better with that over time. You'll see those opportunities more. This fight's kind of scuffed, so like I haven't seen a good time to do it, but either A, over here, I used to play a lot more, especially because you can make the jump over here, potentially. You can make the jump over here, potentially. They're both pretty tight to do and, like, a little risky. But if you have the time, if you do sense one of those lulls, say, like, you won that team fight, like, around here or something when the cart was here, taking this position is also really nice. It's pretty similar to how it feels when you're up here while your entire team is over there. It's like, sure, you're split, but if the enemy team wants to contest point, they either have to like stop you or they have to walk into two different lines of fire. Same thing going on way over here. Assuming that you could get there in time. But again, this fight's kind of scuffed. Not so much coaching this fight, just more like future ones, in case you see the opportunity. Time to dip. It's probably an attempt to try to save a Reaper. I'm guessing that was mostly because it was like last. I was gonna say like either guy decide to like try to stay in, fight, look for trades, help your Reaper, or you gotta get out. But OT, so I get it. They have a second code. I'll go over that too. All right, so same deal here. And one thing to note is that like I'm talking about team comps before the match has even started. You don't know this going in, but it's something that like you try to look for as soon as possible. And like every hero that you're seeing, you're recognizing, is that a person I could bully, or is that somebody who bullies me that I need to look out for? What's the old situation? Do I need to save trance for it? Do I not? That sort of thing, basically. And it shows this information like 30 seconds into the match, so you get it pretty quick. But over here, you don't have Mercy anymore. You have Moira. Actually does heal a good bit more. However, she does have a resource. So I would throw Moira into like less reliable heals than maybe a Kiriko. So I might be orbiting my tank sometimes, depending on where the Moira is standing. She's also very like range dependent, so that's like an important thing. But ideally, orbiting my Tracer, really good harmony target. Ashe second, maybe Orisa needs it in like times where Moira's not around and she's like half or less HP. And then their comp, you can trance that. You can bully Ana sometimes. Moira might be a little funky sometimes to deal with. And then you got two hit scan that are like, just take cover, basically. His ult is pretty good to trance as well. But biggest thing is that none of these are dive characters, other than maybe Moira. So you should be pretty safe, for the most part, to like take more aggressive positions.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So long as you have a way to back out as you need, and you're not too close to them, to the enemy team. And there's cover, obviously. Very nice. I'm gonna look mostly at the positioning here. This isn't too bad. Once they're healed, I want you to go to that left side. Teamfight's done, actually. Kind of same thing, though. At this point, you could be looking to poke right around here. This kind of adds onto that whole idea that, like, if they want to walk forward, they're going to eat a lot of damage from you, and they have to clear you at this point. Once they get past this, if they do just walk forward, then, you know, you're not really doing anything. But your whole team's standing here. Urus is a really good wall, so, like, they're going to have a big fight to even get to that point. And at that point, you just kind of go back here and start shooting, either down this hallway or whatever. And you could also position right here, too. There's kind of a concept of, like, I've heard some people refer to it as, like, getting into the pocket. And you could kind of think of it as like, here's like the general idea of where most people are going to stand. And I don't know if this is how it's conceptualized, but you could kind of think of it as like, I've kind of thought of it as like almost like a pool table. Like they're called the pockets, like the corners, basically. You've got like, you know, if it's a pool table, it's something, I guess it's more like this. But you've got like the different pockets that the balls go into. Haha, balls. But once you get into this, it's kind of hard to get you out of here. You have like a lot of cover. Oops. And you could shoot straight down this this corridor basically. And they don't really have any other way to go. So like getting into positions like this can be pretty strong. It's just pretty static is the thing. But at that point, you're kind of just playing Vaxta. You're just kind of playing Kovacs, you know? But you're either doing one or the other. Getting into that pocket or taking an angle where they have to, like, get surrounded by you. There's Those two things are like really strong. Very nice. Very good. Not bad, not bad. I think over here. Like, you're kind of just, like, standing around here. Like, I'm not sure exactly where you want to go. I don't know if, like... I don't know if, like, you have a plan of where you want to be, or if it kind of just happens. Like, oh, there's an enemy here. I want to shoot them. Where can I shoot them from? Let's go there. And then, oh, I heard another sound here. Let's go there and try to shoot them. Oh, they're coming out of main. I don't want to stand there. Let me back up from there. Like, more so just, like, reacting to things. But I think you should have an idea of where the fight's probably going to happen, or at least start happening. Like, I know that just based off of their spawns when they died, they're probably going to start fighting, like, somewhere around here, right? Probably this corner. Maybe maybe there's somebody like a little bit ahead of that. But as a result, I probably want to be like somewhere around here, you know, give or take. I think up here is kind of nice, especially if you have any form of support or trance. Like, this is totally fine to do. Or you could also like rotate up here. You can maybe try to get up here, that sort of thing. If you have enough time. I'm not sure if there is enough here, but either way, you could even try to go for here. Because this isn't too bad. It's not on cart. It's more like a later position that you try to take so that you can force them off of this high ground, and usually you want to fight here. But it's still a viable spot. At least opens up being able to go up here and everything. Or even like shoot down here if everyone's standing here for some reason. But long story short, it doesn't feel like you have an idea of where you want to be in between fights or in these lulls. And that's often the thing that's like screaming in my head, like, I want to be here. I don't want to be standing on main. I want to be in that spot, ideally. So like as soon as it happens, like, it's just off of instinct at this point for me. I'm just like, let's go there. Let's go. So trying to build up that instinct of like, where do I want to be? Whenever you're like, if you do VOD review of yourself or just looking back at your games, probably the strongest thing that you could do to like help kind of coach yourself into this is every single time that there's this kind of lull that you could sort of sense, at least when you're not in the game. For now, like, eventually you start sensing it, but like if you're looking back at your games, you'll notice it a little bit easier. These lulls, or just like when a team fight is done, just asking yourself, where do I want to be? And like kind of just looking around the map, literally doing what I do. Like, does this look good? Not really. I mean, I guess I might end up here if they're like shooting here. Like, it's fine, but it's okay. Do I want to be maybe like here? I mean, this could be good, like if the cart's already pushed up a little bit, but like it's not super great. But like over here, this is all right. This is all right for like where they're standing. If I could expect the cart to be, like, this is okay. It's not an angle is the only issue, but it's, you know, it at least has some distance. It's some range. But like this would be a little bit better. Like anywhere along here would be really good for where they're standing. And literally just moving our camera around like I just did basically, and just assessing like where is a good place to be for when this fight starts. See, now you're in the spot. Now this is looking good. Unfortunately, I had to trans before he could do much damage, but it's still pretty good. You also want to try to end trance in any of those positions, by the way. I kind of mentioned that earlier, but like, these spots are typically pretty good. Nice living, by the way. That was gonna get you there. This is alright. It's... I don't really like this spot too much because, like, they can get really close to you, and the only way for you to really aggress is by being right here, which is even closer to, like, where they're gonna stand. Like, it's okay for some early damage. I normally like this position, though, because it's kind of the same thing. It's that pocket that I mentioned a moment ago. Like, they can't do too much about you, unless you send a flanker this way. It's not too much of a pocket, but like it's this big corridor that you gotta shoot down, you know? And if they just walk down main, you just gotta do so much damage, you know? You could also rotate around this way so that if they do want to walk in, then you have that angle, that sort of thing. But yeah, like there's a lot of another way to visualize it is like there's these like bends in a lot of Overwatch maps, and the more aggressive angle is typically on the outside. So like you have this angle, you want to be out from that rather than inside of this angle. This tends to be a little bit better. Like if you think about it, this is a more direct line than them having to go like around all the way this way. Which means that like you're probably going to be more of a nuisance here, and also you have like a wider, deeper angle if you're over here instead of over here, if that makes sense. And you can say the same thing over here. Like being over here would be a little bit stronger if you're on defense than over here. Same thing over here. Like this wouldn't be as strong as being over here. Not like putting exact positions on like these circles I'm drawing right now. Besides like this one and this one. But you kind of get the idea, hopefully. Obviously you want cover and distance whenever you're in those spots. I like the risky play. It's risky, but you're making them do something. Not bad, honestly. Mechanically, it was like a little funky, but I like the idea. This would be around the time I'm looking for a new spot. Honestly, like, probably going... I'd probably, like, around... here or so. Probably... You're starting to do it. You do get over there. So I think around now, I'd still, like, maybe throw some orbs. But, like, I'd start going around and maybe end up behind this Orisa. Because, like, what's she gonna do about it? Walk between a Zen and an Orisa? Like, she dies there. Sure, she's an Orisa, but so long as you keep your distance. Like, maybe more, like, around here or something. Or, like, kind of get to this point. Keep an eye on her cooldowns, that sort of thing. But, like, this is a lot better of a spot. Thank you for the follow, Ash. I appreciate it. Let's speed this up a little bit. Unfortunate. See, this is that same, like, inside of that elbow Like if you just look visually at the, that's actually kind of cool. I didn't know it does that. But yeah, so like they just have this shorter angle compared to like this like wider area that you have to move in and everything. So might have safety there. Cap here. Okay, yeah. We're at the hour. There's a good bit more here. I think I've gotten most of the idea here though. We could probably skip the rest of this code. I think the attack side of things kind of points out more of the issues than anything. Our defense on King's Row looked pretty good. I don't expect there to be as many issues on our defense of this map compared to your attack, so I think we got most of the things. But most of the ideas that I'd want to convey is that you should probably work on first is one, looking for, I guess there's two things. You could probably pick one or the other. One's probably easier to work on than the other, so I'll start with that. But like during those slower moments, whether it's like a team fight is done and you're not really doing anything, or there's just like a lull in the fight where like the enemy team is backed up and there's not much to shoot at, maybe everyone's just getting their cooldowns or whatever, look for those moments to like take a position, take a more aggressive position, like advance yourself. If they're giving you a lot of space, take it. No reason not to. You could either, and it's a little bit easier because like there's not much going on, so like you just have less mental load. Even just starting off with like, okay, I'm gonna go into these games and at least recognize this is a time where I could move. You don't even have to like pick the spot yet. Just start learning to recognize those moments where there's not much happening right now. And then start to figure out, okay, well, where do I want to move? Think about that. And then start actually going through the action of going there. You could break it up into those steps, essentially, until you start doing each one of those naturally. And then the other thing is kind of the same thing, but if you feel forced out of position, look for when you're able to go back to it. Such as on that high ground on First Point King's Row. Like, take as far forward as a position as they'll allow you to. Even on defense. You don't want to just, like, continuously back up and back up and back up until you win. You want to, again, push your position as forward as humanly possible, as safely possible, to, like, envelop the enemy team in your sights, basically. Just getting off of main, getting off of that same like single sight line that's going to eat a lot of damage or throw a lot of damage your way. You're doing that pretty well on defense for the most part, just like staying off of the angle. It's mostly just like pushing forward on that angle that could use some improvement. But yeah, I think that's pretty good, honestly. I think your positioning has some improvement to has some things that could be improved, but honestly, like for a gold player, like it's looking pretty decent, honestly. You start doing those things and like it's gonna, you probably easily get platinum, like no problem. Maybe even into diamond at some point soon, you know, if you work on your mechanics a little bit more, a couple other things. But yeah, like those things are gonna help a lot.